was here on the 20th of September 1643 that a pivotal moment in the English Civil War was about to occur. On the one side, the Royalist army, led by King Charles I, and on the other, the Parliamentarian forces under the leadership of the Earl of Essex. It was at this crucial point in British history that Charles and his Royalist army were on the brink of victory. Having succeeded in capturing Reading, Banbury and Oxford the previous year, the Royalists had inflicted a devastating blow on the Parliamentarian forces. The First Battle of Newbury was a pivotal moment in the English Civil War. However, outside of Newbury, it is not very well known. I have come to Newbury to learn about the battle. In this documentary, I will be interviewing David Peacock, Christopher Scott and members of the Sealed Knot. David Peacock has written a book on the history of Newbury, and with his knowledge, I hope to learn of the battle's significance. Christopher Scott is a local historian and battlefield tour guide, who I will be talking to about the key tactics implemented in the battle. I will also be interviewing members of the Sealed Knot, a well-established reenactment group who pride themselves in authentic combat reproduction. They will be informing me of the types of weapons used in the battle, as well as their effectiveness.
In terms of the Civil War, even though it's not particularly well known, it certainly was a major battle. For the First Battle of Newbury, you have, historians disagree about the exact numbers of people involved, but you have over 10,000 people fighting on each side in this battle. So we're certainly talking about a major event. There is no right figure for the number of casualties, but various historians put the number of dead at between 1,500 and 2,500.
Strategically, Newbury 1 is a high point of Royalist successes in coming to an end, because for the first time the parliamentarians realise that in open conflict they can beat the king.
From the parliamentary side, their army was really quite vulnerable. They needed to get back to London, so getting through Newbury was tremendously important. For the Royalists, there was an opportunity to at the least stop it and at best to destroy it.
The First Battle of Newbury was commanded by three major figures. They were the Earl of Essex, who commanded the Parliamentary Army, General Philip Skippon, second in command to Essex, and the commander of the artillery and infantry positions on Round Hill, and on the Royalist side, Prince Rupert, who took charge of the cavalry.
We don't know, but it looks like Prince Rupert did not reconnoitre the battlefield beforehand, but the Earl of Essex and his staff did. They rode about during the night, and they couldn't believe that this central fulcrum called Round Hill was still left unoccupied. Skippon's position on the battlefield was crucial,
right,
and that was the fact that he held that central pivot. He was able to push right over, so he overlooked that valley,
right,
and which meant that Byron's force had to attack him uphill.
This is something which could have changed the political face of England for the rest of history to some extent. When you consider now how important Parliament's victory was, if the Royalist side had destroyed the Parliamentary Army, then that could have been decisive in the outcome of the Civil War as a whole.
Strategy and tactics were a major part of the battle, but it was the Parliamentarian Army who took the initiative. By controlling the high ground on Round Hill, they were able to dictate the battle. The Battle of Newbury wasn't just significant in the use of military strategy, but also in the use of advanced combat skills. Key to this was the practicality of the weapons. I'm here at Shaw House, where members of the Sealed Knot have agreed to be interviewed. They are a well-established reenactment group who pride themselves in authentic combat reproduction. With their knowledge, I hope to uncover some of the details of 17th century warfare.
Okay then, the soldiers of the Civil War fought with there were three different types of soldiers. Firstly, you had a pikeman. The pikemen carried 16-foot pikes, and they operated with another type of soldier called a musketeer. The musketeers were the main soldiers of the Civil War. Their muskets, you could fire probably 1 or 2 shots a minute with a musket. The trouble with musketeers is that they're very vulnerable to cavalry charging.
As a weapon, they are very limited. They cannot work in the wet, they can't work in the wind. If you run out of powder, you can't use it, and also not very accurate. So if I was aiming at a cavalryman and he was ready for close, I have a very good chance of hitting him. If I was aiming perhaps the length of this room, there's a very good chance that I would actually get that soldier. If any further than that, I'm aiming at a mass of people. Very, very inaccurate.
So the pikemen will be needed to defend the musketeers. The pikemen themselves would have worn back and breastplates, as you can see here. There's a back and breastplate here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to dress you up as a pikeman. As a pikeman, you've been issued an extremely crude sword. This is what's called a pikeman's tuck. Sometimes a bit shorter. It's a very crude piece of metal issued en masse. This is a primary weapon. It's called a partisan. Obviously, the bladed part is used as a thrust weapon or a cut and thrust weapon. So you'd thrust this thing into your opponent, obviously with the hand at the butt, and you could kill somebody at a distance of 6 or 7 feet. In the 17th century, you would use the sword to either slash or to jab at the opposition. With this sword on the field, when we do practice 17th century battles, if you'd like to stand here, sir, there are 5 strokes. Now, we can't use a jabbing stroke in a modern reenactment of a 17th century battle because you could seriously injure somebody if something went wrong. But there are 5 general strokes. You'll take the sword up his outer leg. You'll chop down on the arm. You'll do an overhead on the head, aiming slightly to one side in case he forgets to block it. You'll take him on the upper arm on his other side, or to bring the weapon down, you'll hit him on the leg, like that. Now, if you want to do an overhead shot with me, I'll block it and show you how it's blocked. Yeah? And if you want to do a shot on my upper arm, I'll block that. And if you want to do a shot up my leg, I'll block that. The other thing, of course, you do is to poke, use the sword as a jabbing weapon, but we don't do that in the 17th century reenactments because it actually is so dangerous.
The impact of the battle, although today mostly covered by housing estate, is still evident. The last standing monument is the Falkland Memorial, dedicated to Lord Falkland, who served alongside King Charles during the battle. Whilst jumping through a gap in a hedge next to Dark Lane, a musket ball flew into him and forced him to the bloody ground, killing him instantly. His death came as a great loss to the king. The inscription reads, "The blood of man is well shed, for our family, for our God, for our country, for our kind. The rest is vanity, the rest is crime." Although the battle took place several centuries ago, the evidence can still be seen across Newbury. The Battle of Newbury wasn't just another battle in what seemed to be an ongoing civil war. It was the chance of Charles and his royalist army to seize victory in what could have been a decisive factor in determining the outcome of the Civil War. It was here, on this epic canvas, that Essex proved his worth in extraordinary military strategy, holding strong by seizing the high ground, taking the initiative. This is not the legacy of one man, but the legacy of courageous men fighting and dying for what they believed in.